Oh, we're going to talk to Rob. Hello, Rob.
Good day, Eddie. How are you?
I'm very good. So, to everyone in the world, this is Rob Cowlin, acting director of the 100 Marathon Club, and I've read your story out to everyone who's listening. It sounds amazing.
Really? My story?
Well, let me read it back to you, what I've just read to them.
Oh, please.
And then you can see if this is correct. So you've run 112 marathons. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Including 2 lots of 100-mile ultra marathons.
Four now. Sorry, it's 114 and 4, yeah.
Your CV needs updating.
Growing, yes.
First marathon was the London Marathon only in 2007, which you ran as a dare when you weighed 28 stone and had a broken left toe.
Yeah, where have you found all of this?
I'm not sure.
You're quite a team.
I do ask Miranda and Claire, if they're setting it up, if they can give me a little précis so that I can tell everyone
I was just
around
saying,
the
you're
world.
good at doing the research while on the treadmill as well.
No, that's not me. Other people have done this, but just below my screen here,
Wow.
I've got another screen with details on. And running highlight was completing your first 100-mile ultra marathon in 2016, and you ran that in memory of your dad, who unfortunately lost to cancer.
You nailed it. I can just go now, can't I?
No. Now you've got to talk about it and how it was, because it's I lost my mother to cancer, so when I was 6 years old. So well done you doing that for your dad. But tell us, so you're 28 stone, which in pounds and kilos. Do you know what that is in pounds? I'm just trying to American people listening. It
Pounds.
So
probably approaching 400, Eddie.
Yeah, because if I'm
anyone who's
14
listening.
stone, I'm about 70, 80, so it's 80, 160, about 160 kilo, 100, 200, yes, whatever that is.
But that's all muscle and spirit on your side, isn't it? Like
Well-
most of mine's muscle nowadays too.
Well, that is the thing. It's not actually how much you weigh, it's how you look in the mirror, how you feel when you look, because
exactly.
we don't want to be obsessed by that. But how did you go? You must have been. Take me through the thought process, because there'll be other people out there who you are inspiring by what you've done, and and if they want to do what you've done, I'd love you to give your thought process coming up to doing this. Someone made a dare, and then you said, "Bugger it! I've been thinking of doing this, so I'm going to do it." How did that work?
Oh, I'd never thought of running anywhere. When my brother used to try and make me run, I used to tell him, well, Carl, don't be silly, running and drinking water are things that dogs do.
Right.
Jokes on me now, I have a dog, but the thing was, Eddie, something about me is, I was born technically deaf and told by doctors, or my mother was told, that I would never hear and I would never be able to speak, I would never be able to read. And
Wow.
so out of pure stubbornness, decided that I would
Right.
do those things. Well, not sheer force of will, but running was much the same. Running wasn't for me. I was, probably the sort of risk of heart attacks and various things, the size that I was, the way I was eating and drinking and treating myself, in my early 20s even. But somebody, all it took really, and all it's ever taken, is somebody told me, they didn't even say you're too fat to do that. They said there's no chance that you could finish a marathon, in that exact tone of voice.
Right.
And then I thought, well, as you say, quite the words, bugger it.
Yeah.
Let me show you what I can do, because it's not up to anybody else to decide, as you very eloquently put, in terms of the way you view your body, whatever size you are, sexuality, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. And then in this way, if I may sort of bleat for a moment, you inspire me in the way that you're a bit like with your running and whatever, particularly when you first started doing all these mad challenges. It was really inspiring to me when I was on my journey towards my 100 to see somebody else, particularly out there in the limelight, giving a real kind of showcase to sod it. I'm just going to go do some marathons.
Right.
And I'd love to know why you chose running. Why running? But
Running is elemental and primal. Those two words. So there's a thing. I was a bit of a runabout kid, and I was in the first team for football, which I'm still very proud of, when I was 11 and 12. So when I was 11, I was playing with other 12-year-olds on my team and other teams. They used to put the two age groups together, and some of them were a complete foot bigger than me, which is like half a meter bigger than me. And I was I was runabout, nippy, midfield, passing, defending, that was me. And then after that I went to school, didn't play football, so I kind of stopped all sports. It all went downhill. And part of coming back into running was to get a health back for me, to get the health of the childhood back. And part of it was to do a challenge. Sport Relief were looking for people of profile, anyone who's done anything on telly or whatever. Can you do a sport challenge? And I thought, if I do multiple marathons, that should give me some good health, and it could raise some money. And also I was linking up our capital cities, again, make humanity great again. I wanted to show that we have 3 countries and a province of Northern Ireland, and I've lived in 3 out of 4 of them, and I've played a lot in Scotland, so I thought I'll run with separate flags, but saying that we're all the same, we're all together, we can all pull together, and raise money and give myself a health thing. So it was like 3 things at once. So that was my thought process on that.
Killing a lot of birds with that stone, and just having watched one of the gigs, Eddie, I was just, something I want to say that just feels overly profound and cliche, but when you really put in my mind of why running, it's something anyone can do. You know,
yeah.
From the people living out in the remote Amazon, running around with bits of old tyre around their feet and winning ultra marathons.
Yeah.
They just love it. To any race, any religion, any gender, any sexuality, it doesn't matter. We
yeah.
can all do it to some degree. You know, fatties or thinnies or whatever. It's for everybody, and that is probably the reason I do it and do so much of it. I do love it. It does so much for my head and my body. More for my head, if anything, and I'm sure you probably really understand that, having gone through what you're going through. I just love the fact that I can show people who maybe are like old me that they can get off the sofa if they want to, and they can do whatever they want.
Yes, it is. It absolutely is that, and you must have met people who are inspired by your story and go, holy crap, how can that? You've done that. Well, I've got to go and do a 5K. I've got to do something. And
it's usually, I'm not being funny, but doesn't that hurt your knees?
Doing what?
Running. Oh, I'm not calling you fat or anything, Rob, but doesn't it hurt your knees a little bit?
Yeah, they do go on about the knees, but I was either given lucky knees or stopping sports before I hit puberty could have helped me, because there is a thing that if you are a good athlete, successful athlete, in our teenage years when the bones are moving, the hormones coming in, that's when they really get pushed, which maybe that's dangerous, because you never have that for a wild animal. They never say, you're a really good tiger, Kenny, you're one of the best tigers going, you're going to be one of our main hunters, so we're going to, so down boy, down, okay, up, down, push-ups, tigers don't bother with it, lions don't bother with it, giraffe don't bother with it, they just are active all the time. So that's how I kind of do it. I'm a bit lazy on stretching and everything else, but I do go out for a run.
Oh, none of us do the stretching. We call it dynamic stretching when we just start running very slowly.
Yes.
But it looks like you're putting on quite a pace. Do you mind me asking how far through you are on this particular marathon?
Well, I'm up to 8. I run in kilometres, because most of the world...
me too. Yeah, me too.
It's so much easier because I count
miles is backwards.
Yeah,
so.
it's now if you're out there miles, I know very conservative people would say, oh, miles, but it's so much easier because it goes 40, essentially it's 42k, then you're soon at 40, then it's 30, 20, 15, 10, 5. You can just count down the numbers easier. So that's how I find it.
And they go faster as well. So.
Yes, they go faster. I have a little watch that goes ping every kilometre that goes by. And if you go around the world, everyone else is just about, except for 3 countries, have got kilometres. So I find that easier. And I'm now at 8k, and there's a pace thing. You'll know about pace. I was talking about my physio. Most professional runners do pace. I don't know if you do pace or speed. I do speed as opposed to pace because I'm running at 7.5 kph, kilometers per hour. So I know if there's another 7k to go, well, I'm going to get there in under an hour because I'm doing 7.5. And I find that very easy to do the mathematics of distance and how long to go. But the pace thing is based on stopwatches in the early days, up to the fact until we got the clever watches. They were all doing, you've done that in so many seconds, so its pace was much easier to calculate, I think, from the stopwatches than its actual speed. So I think that's how it works.
I get it. Pace or speed, I tend to just do it. I'm not even being facetious. I've learned now to do left foot, right foot.
Oh, right.
Try not to fall down anywhere. I spend too much time staring at my watch, and I do have it on. I am a sucker for it, but I tend to hide it under the sweatshirt these days. Just dog on, so to speak. It's
well, I also do a thing which may appeal to you, but maybe you're already doing. But I think you're more doing it because you're doing organised runs. I do a thing I call holistic marathons, which I tend to never run with other people because I'm constantly moving and doing this and that, and I can never to put a say a London marathon when I could be filming in Vienna or LA or something. I can't do that, so I just say, tomorrow I'm going to run a marathon, and I choose a route, some piece of countryside, run a half marathon out, come back half marathon, and that's how I do it. And I call them holistic because I'm trying not to do personal best, and I'm trying not to do VO2 max in this, but more running and saying, look at this is great. I'll take a photograph of this. I take lots of photos of the Thames. I run down the Thames River and meet people, talk to them, say hello. I want to feel the space as opposed to constantly boom, 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 which on a treadmill is, if I wasn't talking to you, this would be too much, because I can talk to people like yourself.
Pleasure's all mine.
It's so great because you can talk and it gets me out of my mind. But I call them holistic marathons, much more running for the space and the time. So yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah, and it's hard now, right, isn't it? It's hard for all of us where we can't be in many ways close or even remotely close to the people we just admire, love. I'm used to spending most of my weekends running. Unfortunately, became my entire social life, and for the right reasons, it has been taken away temporarily. But I, as a lone wolf, somebody who probably was ashamed or scared of rejection to ask to go run with people, I've just embraced the fact that I can run with one other human being, and just find someone who will hear my story, swap some back to me.
Yep.
And that's why I go outside and run. That's why I do it. And as you said, to see beautiful trees, to feel the sun on the skin.
Yep.
Bloody cliche stuff just makes you feel good.
But it's also good health, vitamin D. I mean, I'm going to have this pallid complexion at the end of this. But the vitamin D, I remember, because I'm a trans woman, I have a makeup artist when I'm performing, and I remember I ran in LA down the big road that's on top of the hills that's gone out of my brain for the moment. But anyway, it goes on and on. It goes all the way down. And I ran, I think about half marathon. It could have been a marathon or a half marathon. I came back, and Rachel, my makeup artist, she had to do my makeup. I had an interview or something. And she said, your skin is glowing. What have you done to your skin? I just went for a run, and it's good with obviously you've got to do sun protection, not too much sun, but it is good. It's what we humans did when we were hunter-gatherers. We were constantly outdoors, and obviously it was very heavy sun. You'd be under the trees for the shade in the sunny part of the day, the heavy sunny part of the day. But I do like being outdoors.
Absolutely, and it's totally struck a chord with me, because on my run this morning, which I thought I'd go out and do a proper run because I was going to be speaking to the Eddie Izzard, doing his, I believe is this your 79th or 80th marathon?
I've gone, well, sorry, you carry on with it. The first one I did was my 100th marathon for charity. And you remember the 100 Club, but I don't think I'm allowed to be in because they have to be registered marathons, don't they? I think.
Unfortunately, well, yes and no. Yes, by the book. However, that's to become a member like I am. And sorry, feels punishing that I'm actually wearing the hoodie, but I promise you it's for warmth. But that's the club I'm acting Madam Secretary of.
There you go.
But what I can give to you, Eddie, in the meantime is, and we agreed as the committee to do this, and I brought to you, everyone knows who you are and knows what you're doing, loves it. We were gushing for possibly 15-20 minutes, then thought, right, what can we actually do for Eddie while she's doing the challenge? And we've got, if you like tea or coffee, we've got a mug for you. And also, we've got one of our official supporters pins, which is actually more a token of recognition for you as an ambassador for what our club stands for, which is just the spirit of getting anyone of any shape, size, creed, anything to go out and to run and to officially recognise you on our website and with that pin and on all of our social media in whatever way is practicable, your challenge, the charity, and making humanity great again. Because I personally, from your own adventures before this most recent tour, if I can call it that, and everything, have a huge resonance with what you're doing. And we've had members coming to me and to many other members of the committee asking, well, what can we do to promote people, great people like Eddie, who are marathon runners, but maybe don't just notch all the criteria, because we can at some stage potentially make you an honorary member, but bloody blah, we might have to have a vote of 600 people at our AGM in September. But I would love to be able to put that forward, and I can commit to you that if nothing else, I will put that on the table. But in the meantime, we'd love to invite you in as an official supporter of our club and to promote what you're doing.
Absolutely, I am absolutely supporter. I'd love a mug because you go with my David Bowie mug from the V&A exhibition that toured. Had the great luck to meet David, and so we go with that, and the Singer Cafe mug, which I got from Bethlehem, from the wonderful Palestinian people I met there, and I have to go back there and perform in Arabic. And I've got a select collection, the Shakespeare bookshop in Paris has been struggling recently, but it's a lovely place, and I perform just near there when I perform in French. And yes, I've got a small selection of mugs, and it would be an honoured thing to have a 100 Club marathon. Because, and do you know the story about why I talk about the 100 Club?
I believe I heard from, I forget the gent's name, but your physio. You met a number of the club members when you were out doing some training. Am I right?
Well, it was basically I was
Richard, that boring story that I just told.
Well, I was ambassador in 2012 at the Olympics. I was ambassador for the Games Makers, the volunteers for our London Olympics, the UK Olympics, and I love the idea of the Olympics. I don't know if you remember that time, but
Fondly, yes.
But you probably would, because some people were, oh, how did it work? It all went well, but just before it started, tabloid media, got to say this, they were very against it. They were spinning negative stories, and
doesn't sound like tabloid media. Not that I ingest any of it, but.
And then the rowers. It was the rowers who started, because their games are very early, and they won 4 gold medals. And it was like, started on a Saturday, I believe, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I think, was the first gold. And then it went boom, boom, boom. And the whole country was energized. Games makers were brilliant. All the organizers who worked of the Olympics who worked so long for this. And the papers, the tabloids, turned around and said, oh, we really liked it from the beginning. And I was passionate behind it, saying, you're never going to see an Olympics in the UK in your lifetime, because many countries want it and a lot more developing countries coming online. So to have a fair share of it going at the rounds, if you add 4 years and 4 years, it's just going to be, if you're 2, you maybe be back when you're 80. So watch it now. So I pushed for this, and I was at the marathon. So the marathon was happening. I was the ambassador, so I was allowed to visit people. I was asking to visit people. Actually, I was visit games makers essentially. I met the people on the feeding stations for the marathon, food and drink stations. And I said, how come you guys have chosen to do this? They said, we're members of the 100 Club. We've all run over 100 marathons. And I was talking to a man and a woman, and obviously a few people there, but particularly this gentleman, this lady, and they looked probably 50s, 60s, maybe even 70s. They'd all run 200, 330, 400 and something.
Oh yeah.
And I looked at them, and I said, that is amazing. And I said, how do you train normally? He says, we just do 1 a week. We just do 1 a week. That's the only training we do. I thought, well, that's kind of beautiful. And I looked at them as well, and I thought, you guys look good. You look good. You're doing 1 a week. You've done over 100. It suits you. It suits human beings. So that's been since then, since 2012, I've been trying to get up to doing a marathon a week. I now do a marathon every other week and a half marathon in the weeks between those. So it goes marathon, half marathon, marathon, half marathon.
That sounds like splendid 100-miler training, if I may say so.
Is it? Is it indeed? Yes. Well, I did run, the double marathon at the end of South Africa. So I'm reaching up towards the area that you've got. Not quite. I think that was 56 miles, double marathon. 90K, I did the Comrades. Essentially, I was doing a salute to the Comrades Marathon, which you probably know of in South Africa.
Yeah.
An amazing 90K run. So that's how I met the members of the 100 Club, the 100 Marathon Club. And I just thought, that's an amazing and good thing and positive, and I want to aspire to be like them.
And there is something else I have to throw in, because while I represent the 100 Marathon Club, the acting secretary, whatever. This conversation, and I'm loving it, by the way, absolutely loving it. And I hope it's giving something to you.
Yeah,
but
no, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
I'd like to represent the madness, the deep sort of underworld of kind of people that are on the fringes of society but find one another through this crazy running. And actually there is a sister group, well, it's not related actually, sort of like a step-sister group,
right.
Called the Mega Marathoners,
okay.
who are the people that have similar shirts, but they're not blue, they're red. And they say 100 marathons. So I could certainly arrange, and I spoke to the founder of Mega Marathoners last night in advance of this, that we could get a shirt that says Eddie on the back. If I could just find out the size from one of the team, and we can send that along with the mug, if you'd be willing to be a Mega Marathoner, because I think you qualify.
I think I would probably have it safely at home, but I'm a large. In women's sizes, I'm a large. Sometimes I'm extra large, but you can never quite tell how they match up.
Yeah.
But that's kind of my size. But I have difficulty running with anything with my name on the back, because then people go, "Oh, it's that guy," because they say, "Go on, run," and I'm going, "I'm doing the best I can." Everyone thinks I go really fast, but I go really quite slowly, and that's how I get it done.
You're in good company. No. You're getting your money's worth if you're me and you're entering a race. But okay, in that case, Eddie, we'll send you a blank canvas and you can paint upon it whatever beautiful name or whatever you want, or lack of, or symbol, or anything. Or just have it nice and red. They are beautiful shirts, and you make sure you get them.
That's great. No, I'm not begging for merchandise, but it's lovely just to be considered.
I just want, as a fellow distance runner,
right.
An endurance athlete, if I may call us that.
Yes, endurance.
I just want to honour your efforts in a way that isn't just a donation, which of course I will also be making and encouraging others in our groups to make when we advertise this.
Thank you so much. I talk of Olympians, and I think we're endurians. That's what I've made up. That's the word I've heard.
That's a fantastic word.
Yes, we're the endurance sports people doing, reclaiming their health. And I don't know if you caught any of me on the first day. I just know this is Marathon 9. I'm in halfway through my second hour. I feel a lot stronger already. There's something about the first 10. If you do, I don't know if you've done them back to back, but the first...
I've only done 10, that's my limit, I'm afraid.
All right.
10 in a row, that's where I stop. I'm not quite in the same league as yourself.
But hang on, you did 10 in a row?
Yeah, but once as an organised event. So we've got some of these, and I'll let your team and yourself know when we send some stuff over.
But Rob,
some of these things you can do to get qualified for one of the blue shirts. Fancy.
Well, Rob, my question to you is, when you did the 10, did you feel better at the end than you did at the beginning? Because people wouldn't think that. They think you feel hellish at the end. But how was it for you? Get stronger as you went through?
I did. I ran actually my only ever, of 112, I ran my only ever negative splits, to get all technical, marathon on the last day of the 10 in 10 marathons. Because the way you do it is, as you're doing with your multi-day effort, I'm sure you have learned now through experience to hold a little something back and to manage it through, and then you have that kind of sprint finish. But everyone's like, how can you sprint finish after 10 or 31 marathons? You'd be surprised what a human can do when they want to do it, and they just want something to be over. And the negative split thing, by the way, is just doing the second half of the marathon quicker than the first.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. Just dragged myself around, and there was a whole, and this is what it's all about, there was a whole group of friends and community. And okay, you're in a room, but you're also not alone because you're on Swift and you're on screen and you are talking to people like little old me. And that's what it's about, is just being with others and celebrating all your different achievements, whether it takes you 3 hours or 7 hours to do this. It doesn't matter.
We should explain to people listening, negative split means you run the first half slower and the second half faster. And that's negative. You tend to think it would be the other way around, that you start fast and you gradually slow down. But you hold it back. Yeah, you hold it back. I did this on in South Africa marathon about 23, I think it was, 22. The prison
it's absurd, but it's amazing.
The prison where Nelson Mandela was released from, and he walked out in 1990 with his hand over his head, with his fist up, and after 27 years in prison. And when I was coming to the end of that, I sprinted. I must have shot up at least maybe double my speed. No, it was a sprint finish, and I maybe just the last K or half a K, but it was in there. It was in the tank. Sometimes it's not in the tank. Sometimes it is. But it is a good feeling. On these, when I do the multiples, I'm always holding back. And I've also got the gig afterwards. I'm doing a 7 p.m. gig. You probably know. You said you've seen it.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I have to hold back for that because I'm sometimes falling asleep in the gig.